Imagine for a moment that everything you thought you knew about God was different. What if, deep down, you're not just an ordinary person? What if at your core, you're actually divine? There exists an ancient truth that was once closely guarded by the church, the very people who were supposed to protect and share it. Jesus taught something extraordinary long ago. He didn't only say that God watches over us from above. He also said, "You are God." And this was the revelation that they didn't want you to know. So these lessons were hidden, books were burned, and this powerful truth was buried away. One of the oldest known texts, the Gospel of Thomas, holds deeper insights into Jesus' teachings. In this text, Jesus explains that those who truly understand his message will never die. This might feel unsettling or even frightening at first, but ultimately, it leads to a beautiful realization. We each have the power to shape reality itself. From an early age, you may have been taught that God is a separate being, one who sits above us and decides whether we're good or bad. Yet these hidden, once banned teachings have resurfaced, telling a vastly different story. It's a story that many of us did not encounter in Sunday school. And here's something incredible. Despite the church's efforts to suppress it, some of this wisdom still found its way into the Bible. In the Gospel of John, for instance, Jesus made a statement so shocking that people were outraged to the point of wanting to kill him. He told them they were gods too. Let's reflect on the story of Adam and Eve. You likely remember the part where the snake is labeled as evil for tempting Eve to sin. But what if this interpretation is only part of the picture? The Gospel of Thomas and other ancient texts offer a different perspective. What if the snake was trying to help Eve discover her own divine potential? According to the ancient Gospel of John, Jesus encouraged Adam and Eve to seek knowledge, not as a form of rebellion, but to help them understand their divine essence. This hidden belief proposes something truly revolutionary, that the strict and punitive God of the Old Testament isn't the ultimate God. Instead, a being of pure light and goodness, greater than we could comprehend, created everything. And remarkably, you too are a part of this divine light. Jesus didn't come to impose rigid rules and codes of conduct. He came to show that we're all connected to this holy light. But over the centuries, the church reinterpreted this message, distorting it from its original form. Dolores Cannon explored many of these ideas in her book, The Convoluted Universe, where she delved into subjects like reincarnation, the nature of reality, and the higher consciousness that connects us all. She discovered that many ancient texts, long believed to be mere stories, actually serve as guides to help us understand our true selves. By the time Constantine was emperor of Rome in 325 AD, the Council of Nicaea convened to establish official Christian teachings. But here's the twist. Not all of Jesus' lessons were included. Teachings that emphasized our own divine nature and free will were deliberately left out. These teachings posed a threat to the church's authority. If people believed they could connect directly with God without relying on priests, bishops, or the institution itself, the church's power would be in jeopardy. As a result, these teachings were banned, labeled as heresy, and effectively buried. Yet history has a way of revealing what's been hidden. In 1945, an archive of ancient writings was discovered in Nag Hammadi, Egypt. Among them was the Gospel of Thomas, preserved for nearly 1,600 years. This gospel introduced a groundbreaking idea: the kingdom of God is within you. This message was profoundly different from the idea of a distant power you must earn through rituals or the church's approval. Instead, it claimed that this divine essence was something you already carried within you, accessible at any moment. Think of the implications this idea had for the early church. If people believed they could commune with God independently, without priests or church intermediaries, the entire foundation of church authority would be at risk. To maintain control, the church labeled these beliefs as wrong and systematically banned them. But reclaiming this divine connection isn't just about rebelling against the church. It's about recognizing and embracing your own power and connection to God. You don't need anyone to tell you what's right or wrong. You already know. And this is what the church feared most: people awakening to their divine nature and questioning the systems that sought to keep them in submission. As Christianity spread, certain teachings were considered too dangerous for public knowledge. Instead of depicting God as a remote figure who required worship through intermediaries, these hidden texts taught that each person has a direct link to the divine. The Gospel of Thomas contains a striking quote from Jesus: "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you." This simple sentence holds a profound truth. Everything you need to connect with God is already inside of you. You don't need ceremonies, preachers, or even the church. The church hid this teaching because it threatened their influence. One of the most captivating concepts in these texts is gnosis. The Greek term means knowledge, but not in an ordinary sense. Gnosis refers to a deep, spiritual understanding of God that can only be reached through personal experience, not through doctrines or teachings. Early Christian communities, often referred to as the Gnostics, embraced this idea. If these hidden lessons resonate with you and expand your understanding, please consider showing your support by clicking the Super Thanks button below. Your contribution will enable us to continue exploring these long-buried mysteries. Now, in our present day, these ancient teachings are finally re-emerging. The Gnostics believed each of us contains a divine spark, a fragment of God trapped within the material world. They taught that life's purpose is to awaken this spark and reconnect with our true spiritual selves. Achieving this requires gnosis, or deep knowledge, a truth that early church authorities worked tirelessly to keep hidden. They believed that by keeping people focused on rituals and rules, they could prevent them from accessing this inner wisdom. Yet despite their efforts, these teachings endured, preserved in secret books, and passed down through generations. Now we have the opportunity to rediscover this wisdom, to look beyond what seems obvious, and to realize the vast potential within ourselves. You are connected to something infinitely greater, a divine spark that bridges you to the universal light. By seeking this truth, you can access long-hidden knowledge. Traditional Christian views portray God as the source of all good and Satan as the embodiment of evil. The early Christian Gnostics, however, offered a different perspective. They believed the Old Testament God, who demanded obedience and punished those who defied him, wasn't the true God, but a lesser deity, the demiurge. The Gnostic view held that the demiurge, creator of the material world, was flawed and even tyrannical. This world, with all its suffering and imperfections, was seen as a prison for the spirit. They taught that the true God was a being of pure light and goodness, the source of all that is holy, to whom our souls long to return. This is where Dolores Cannon's research takes on even greater significance. The Gnostics viewed the serpent in the Garden of Eden as a liberator rather than a deceiver. The serpent offered knowledge, or gnosis, to free humanity from the demiurge's dominion. In the traditional story, Adam and Eve are punished for seeking knowledge. The Gnostics, however, questioned why a loving God would want to prevent knowledge. To them, eating from the tree of knowledge wasn't a sin, but rather an essential step toward wisdom. The serpent wasn't evil. It was guiding humanity out of the demiurge's illusionary world. The secret book of John, also found in Nag Hammadi, sheds more light on this duality. In it, the demiurge is depicted as arrogant and ignorant, believing himself the only God, while the true God, the source of all light, lies beyond this flawed creator. The Gnostics taught that humanity's purpose is to awaken to this truth and escape the illusion of the material world. Their beliefs challenged the standard good versus evil story, suggesting that the real struggle lies between ignorance and understanding, deception and truth. This isn't just a call to defy traditional teachings. It's an invitation to wake up, question, and seek the light within. These rediscovered teachings prompt us to look at the world with fresh eyes, challenging us to reconsider what we've been taught and rediscover the divine potential within. Think of what this revelation could mean for you. Do you carry a piece of the true God within? If so, your life holds a deeper significance than you might have realized. Instead of following paths prescribed by others, you can use this rediscovered knowledge to forge your own path. But with this knowledge comes responsibility. Awakening to your divine nature isn't easy. It requires the courage to confront the illusions that have kept you in darkness, to question the narratives that shaped your understanding. It means letting go of what you've been told and embracing the truth of who you are. In the end, the hidden teachings of Jesus are a call to wake up and live as your true self. Now is the time to reclaim your power, embrace the divine light within you, and create a world that reflects this shared divinity. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery. If this exploration resonated with you, or if these ancient teachings open new doors of understanding, please consider supporting us by clicking the Super Thanks button below. Your gift helps us continue our quest for truth, enabling us to delve deeper into these long-hidden mysteries. Until we meet again in the next video.